Yeah, and you're back with us. This is Vox Live, and Mimi and I are here with you live through till 10 o'clock this evening. Titi Banjoko is still with us. Dr. Titi Banjoko, healthcare specialist.
Oh, you don't have to use the title. I know Nigerians like titles.
Nigerians like very heavy peddling titles. Very heavy peddling titles. Chief. Mo Abdul Kadir has left us, but he's been ably replaced by Chidi Obihara. I was going to say your middle name. Chidi Oti Obihara. Would that be fair?
That's fair.
An economist and former investment banker, and we're delighted to have you here because one of the things we need to talk about is Nigeria's economy. People say, and Goodluck Jonathan's supporters said, you know what, he did a lot with the economy. He started to diversify it. We're no longer just an oil and gas economy. But I'm not sure. I'm no expert. Chidi, what's the starting point, would you say, with this?
Well, I think, thank you very much for having me on your show.
You're most welcome.
I think that one of the most interesting things about the election of General Buhari is that Nigerians have sought to solve the problem of the politics of our country by electing a man who is seen as being an agent of change. However, one of the truly big problems we have and are going to have is a set of economic problems. Our income distribution, planning the growth and development of our economy going forward. And I think, like many people, there's a lot of uncertainty about if GMB can deliver the kind of change we need in that sphere.
When you say you're kind of worried there's nervousness, is it because he's not a renowned economist? I mean, Goodluck Jonathan was a zoologist, wasn't he? But of course, it's about surrounding yourself, the top team, at a lecturer, but the top team with people who are economically literate, who understand, you know, the kind of things, who are the masters of the universe, as somebody once described people like you.
Well, I want to actually reflect what Mo and Dr. Banjoko mentioned earlier on, which is that there's a real sense in which the team around GMB might be extremely important. But for now, we don't know his plans. We don't even know the team. And what we're seeing is a move from a group of technocrats, Goodluck, NOI, and Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, a former World Bank director who plans the economy right now. We don't know what the future holds. We don't know what's going to be next. We hear this generic promise of change, but change can be good or bad.
I like that word, generic.
Yeah, change could be good or bad. Now, former President Obasanjo was quoted as saying, Buhari would not be a good economic manager, but will be strong, almost inflexible, and a courageous and firm leader.
I think that sums what the Buhari I knew when he was last in power. But it still goes back to the team. It is the team that is, like you said, it's the team. It's the people he puts behind him. Surrounds him to be able to deliver the policy. All he can do is lead.
And that's the sign of a great leader.
Exactly.
You may not be an expert in economics, but you hire the right person to take.
And that actually is the biggest challenge, because I can tell you now, there will probably, and I'm hoping it's not true, but I've already heard rumors of horse trading. You see, people don't run an election by themselves. You have people that would expect that now, so give me these two posts.
It's time to deliver.
You know, it's time for this, and those sort of things. And minister of this and minister of that. There's some ministries we know people tend to see as the juicy ones. You know, the one oil, the Ministry of the Minister of Petroleum, the Minister of Finance. You know, the Minister of Aviation. The big ones.
Where big cash goes
big
missing,
cash,
exactly.
Exactly. You hardly hear some ministries where I'm a woman, but I'll say. Gender, see people say, so who's that? Is it the First Lady, or actually is it the Minister of Gender Affairs who actually does this? So for me, it's actually the competent people. And somebody said a while ago, if you put say you're playing in the Premier League and you put people from the First Division and you are expecting to compete in a global society
with Man United or Barcelona, Real Madrid.
There you are. What do you expect?
Eagles.
On the other hand, there's a Ghanaian guy who always says to me that when Ghana did well in football was when you mix local with foreign, and you got the best.
And you got the diversity.
Because it was competency you were looking for.
Well, the key thing is people who will govern in the interests of the many, not the few. I interviewed a Rwandan today about why Rwanda is apparently the happiest country in Africa, which, only 20 years ago had the awful genocide. And he said we have, with President Kagame and the team around him, a group of people who govern in the interests of Rwandans. They think about it first and last. What do Nigerians think? That's the key thing. Because the election results were announced, of course, a couple of days ago. People in Kaduna and across the country took to the streets to react to the news, and here's how.
Today, it's like we have gotten our freedom. We have been ruling for the past 16 years by the ruling party, PDP. They have been ruling us, no job, no good road, no hospitals, no infrastructures. There's nothing home to talk about.
I'm happy because everybody is happy for now, and we have a peaceful election on Saturday and also on Sunday. I'm happy we have change for now, and Buhari is a change.
If by God's grace he comes back again, and we will definitely give him 100% support.
There must be a loser and a winner. So we've lost narrowly. Actually, we accept it. And that is the way it is. We don't need to go fighting. We still have more time to come up again and contest. Perhaps maybe the next we win. And that is it.
What we want from him is that he should try to make sure that he carries everybody along in this government. He should not discriminate from this place and from this, that and that. He should try to carry everybody along in this coming president.
Now joining us on the line right now is Professor Khalifa Dikwa. He's a professor in Maiduguri. Hello, Professor. You on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Now, I'm just going to start off the back of that. We just saw people on the streets in, for example, Kaduna, in Kano, all across Nigeria reacting to General Buhari winning the election. What was the mood for you in Maiduguri?
The mood for us in Maiduguri is even higher than that of Kaduna and Kano, having been the victims of insurgency in the past 6 years or so. So the mood in Maiduguri is higher than any other place.
Okay, and now that General Buhari has been elected as the next president of Nigeria, what for you are the most salient issues moving forward?
The most salient aspect for us is to have to separate between governance and partisanship. One. Number two is to unite the country that has been split along religious and ethnic lines. Number three is to fix the electricity system for our young ones to be self-employed. Number four is to correct the imbalances created by the government of Jonathan.
And Dr. Dikwa, let's take the final point, the imbalances created by Goodluck Jonathan. What exactly do you mean? Or what kind of imbalances do you see in Maiduguri and the surrounding area?
Imbalances is that of mainly of deceit, of hiding behind religion and ethnicity to implement certain political points that have to do with alienating the entire North, which makes up more than 70% in both landmass and electoral strength.
Well,
that is now the entire North has been made a minority in the scheme of things under Jonathan.
So, Dr. Dikwa, how would you like him, the new president, to deal with this? Are you talking purely about resources, or are there other things beyond money that you would like to see him do?
Exactly, we would like him to do what he did before as a governor, as a minister of petroleum, and as a head of state. That is to implement the sense of discipline and that sense of patriotism, that people should not think along ethnic or religious lines. Number one, the interest of all Nigerians. Number two, to listen to the people. Number three is to accept whatever it is being said in the press, to look at it in a very objective way if there are mistakes to be corrected and others to be amended. And this is exactly what Nigeria has been yearning for. Thirdly, we would like us to have our own centerpiece, that is the internal policy for all Nigerians, and then to redefine our foreign policy, that Nigeria as a leading country in Africa should have its own foreign policy to be at par with other developing nations, and that Nigeria belongs to the generation of Singapore and other Asian tigers.
Well, that's the thing,
this is
Dr.
the time
Dikwa.
for us to amend the things.
I mean, people have been mourning Lee Kuan Yew You know, the man who really founded modern Singapore, he led with an iron grip, but a very, very strong sense of where he wanted to see his country go. And he ran it for 31 years, and he passed away recently, and it was as though some kind of deity had disappeared. Do you really think? Do you really think the new president has it in him?
The difference between us and Singapore depends on the type of democracy. We would like to have democracy that works for the people and works with the culture of the people, and to pick up the best parts of all democracies in the world. This is no longer a thing of empirical science. That is exactly, we have the better part of democracy in US, in England, in Asia, and all over the world, and which one is applicable to us. And it depends on the National Assembly and the voices of the people to decide which particular aspects are good from all the democracies of the world. It's no longer trial and error.
Very big job there, Mimi.
Absolutely. Now, thank you very much, Dr. Khalifa Dikwa, Senior Lecturer at the University of Maiduguri, joining us on the line there. Thank you very much.
Big question then for you guys in the studio and for people, you know, watching us at home. And remember, you can get in touch. You've still got about, what time is it now? 35 or so minutes left. Yes, we are live. Is what kind of democracy most suits Nigeria? I've met many Nigerians who said to me, you know, Henry, we need a Paul Kagame, somebody who's tough, who's hard, and who doesn't really worry what the West says about him if sometimes he crosses a red line or two. Others have said to me, we want someone like J.J. Rollins. Look what he did for Ghana between 1979-81 and 2000. Chidi, under the military indeed, and then he kind of converted to civilian rule. Look at my eyes. Chidi, what kind of democracy would most suit Nigeria, bearing in mind its huge diversity and the massive population?
An excellent question. We've always said in Nigeria that we wanted to try and keep the number of parties simple, closer to 2 if possible. We always worried that in a multi-party democracy, we might break up on ethnic lines, which was a problem that we wanted to avoid. And we haven't had to make a rule about it because there's a long tail of other smaller parties that we don't talk about here. But PDP and APC have emerged as the 2 main parties, and the problem that's then emerged has been the fear that they've broken out on religious grounds, that one has a leaning towards Islam and the other has a leaning towards Christianity. Luckily, the reality is that PDP has always been a broad church. We're hoping that as APC evolves, it becomes a broader church as well. But I'm comfortable with our constitution as it stands. I don't think that Buhari has been elected to change the constitution. I think he's been elected to work within this constitution as it is set out. So I'm afraid I disagree with your last speaker.
All right.
I just wanted to say, moving forward, if he tackles all those challenges that you're talking about, breaking across religious and ethnic lines, do you think that would be a positive step moving forward in Nigeria's history of democracy, that this can be possible, just as Obama came in, if we remember when he was first elected, like change for the US. Yes, we can, exactly. And this time it's change we can in Nigeria. Do you think that's possible?
I think that's an excellent question. I think that drawing an analogy between Obama and Buhari is really actually very wrong. Obama is a new factor in America's history. He's a change that is quite a radical change from America's past, if you think about it. Whereas Buhari is a member of the old guard who has come back. This is a man who served for 18 months between 1983 and 1985, instigated a coup, was pushed out by another coup, and in that period, in that 18-month period in the mid-80s or early 80s, we got to find out what kind of president he was. He believed in price controls. He believed in ruling by decree. He tore up the old constitution at the time. He also sent Fela to jail. He did a lot of things that were very, very military.
Which he said was under the military regime, a different era.
Absolutely. He has apologized for that, actually, and said he will rule differently this time around. And we still don't know exactly what he's going to do. He
might start off wanting to rule differently as a civilian, but if he gets impatient, maybe the old Buhari will return and he'll start throwing people in jail.
Well, that can't happen this time around for a whole bunch of reasons. We are a much more mature democracy now than we were when he overthrew Shagari's government. As we know, PDP has been around for almost a couple of decades. And people are expecting him to be a democratic president, not a military ruler. But again, I defer back to Dr. Banjoko. The idea that we need to have a team that builds on something greater than the Buhari legacy is profoundly important.
The question is where are the members of that team going to be drawn from? Now,
Absolutely.
in previous governments, they've taken people from the World Bank, IMF, brought them back home from the UK, probably tried to poach you two as well. I don't know.
That's what she said.
I don't know.
Foreign.
You know,
I think it's local and foreign. I mean, can I just give an example? I mean, the vice president, people forget, he's got a competent, proven vice president who actually was the Attorney General in Lagos State, brought a lot of changes in the judiciary in Lagos State. He's also a Christian, and he's a committed Christian. So when people talk, the emphasis is always still on one person. And as for where can you find these Nigerians, there are a lot of them at home. I mean, Jega is a classic example. I always say to people, that shows you that there is talent there, but if they're not given the opportunity, you will not, you can't utilize them.
Okay, Titi, and let's give that caller on the line the opportunity to take part. Now, it's Gregory from Lagos who's calling in. Hello, Gregory. What's your contribution, please?
You want me to speak right now?
Yes,
please. Gregory, please do.
Yes, please. Well, the country seems to be...
Please turn down your TV and don't listen to yourself back.
Thank you very much.
You've got 60 seconds, Gregory. Turn down your TV and contribute quickly, please.
Okay. The contribution I want to make is that everybody seems to be giving accolade to Buhari. But...
Yes?
Yes.
Finish your point, Gregory.
Everybody seems to be giving accolade to Buhari. Fine, that's a good thing. But people have forgotten that when... Goodluck won his election in 2011. Buhari refused to congratulate Jonathan, and because of that non-congratulation, people went to the street and killed close to about 1,000 Nigerians in this country. And he never restricted people from continuing the mayhem. You know, we must give credit. We must give credit to what is happening in this country. The second thing I want to say is that for us to move forward as a country, we need to restructure Nigeria. We cannot continue to live with a centrist position where power is concentrated in the center in this country. We have to restructure that country. Goodluck has started the process of restructuring the country. And that document and that process must continue for us to see ourselves as one country in Nigeria. If that is not done,
thank you very much
the
indeed for
problem of
calling in.
Nigeria will remain.
Gregory, thank you
And
very
we are
much
just
indeed.
beating
Let's
about the
lose
bush
Gregory,
without our
please.
problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Very briefly. I love this program.
Love passion.
I love it. Very briefly, I'm going to go to you, Chidi. The idea that the centre is too strong. I thought the 36 states, federal system, were very powerful. The governors are very, very powerful. They can generate their own tax revenue. That's power comes from that, doesn't it? Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. The caller, I think, was referring to the outcome of our national conference, which took place last year. And it's been one of the key political changes that we know will happen with the arrival of Buhari, is that the outcome of that conference will be set to one side. It's one of the few things we're quite clear about. And what he was referring to when he talks about devolving power from the center is that there are about two or three reallocation points that were made in that document.
Wrap up, so we can go and break quickly.
Absolutely. And I think that trying to implement part of that conference outcome is something that should still be debated.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Now it's time for a final quick break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the final segment where President Goodluck Jonathan's what will be his legacy.
So please do not go anywhere.